After some time, Ajit's brother comes home. Upon arriving, he asks his wife if Rajni had called from home in the evening, saying that she would come tomorrow. He wonders why she hasn't arrived yet. His wife responds, "No, she hasn't come here. Her husband is unwell. Maybe that's why she couldn't make it. If she doesn't come, it's no big deal." And with that, she silences him. A little while later, Ajit's brother-in-law was about to arrive, so she went to the market to buy some things. Meanwhile, a person who had witnessed everything approached Ravi. He was waiting for Ajit's wife to leave the house so he could tell him about his sister. The man comes and tells Ajit the whole story. He says, "Your sister did come, but your wife insulted her, calling her a beggar and threw her out of the house. She left crying." Hearing this, Ajit gets furious. The man then says, "Brother, don't mention my name. I told you because I've seen you all grow up before my eyes." With that, he leaves, and Ajit sits in the house. Half an hour later, there's a knock at the door. Ajit opens it and sees his brother-in-law standing there, who had come to take his wife because the festival was approaching. Ajit looks at him and says, "Yes, who are you?" His brother-in-law replies, "Brother-in-law, you don't recognize me?" But Ajit says, "Recognize? I don't know you or recognize you. What are you doing here?" And shuts the door in his face. His wife's brother, disappointed, was about to leave when Rajni returned from the market. She sees her brother walking away sadly and asks him, "What happened? Why are you leaving like this?" "I'll come with you." "Was that why you came?" He replies, "Brother-in-law threw me out of the house, saying he doesn't know me, and slammed the door in my face." She says, "Come with me, I'll see why he did this," and goes with him to confront her husband. Rajni, in anger, asks Ajit, "How dare you throw my brother out like that?" Ajit, losing his patience, says, "Why should your brother be allowed in just because he's your brother? My sister came here earlier, and what did you do to her?" He then turns to his brother-in-law and says, "This is no small matter. We only have one sister, and you chased her away during the festival. How can I let your brother into this house if my sister isn't welcome here?" He starts to walk away, but his brother-in-law stops him and says, "Brother-in-law, you did the right thing," and then berates his sister harshly. Rajni, hearing all this, hangs her head in shame. Ajit turns to his brother-in-law and says, "I'm sorry if this hurt you, but it was necessary to teach your sister a lesson." His brother-in-law replies, "Brother-in-law, you did the right thing. Now I'll tell our family about this, and we'll see how to set things straight. If she can't respect your sister, she has no right to maintain ties with us." With that, he leaves for his home and tells his parents everything. After hearing the story, her parents call Rajni and scold her, saying, "From today, you are dead to us. Don't come to tie a Rakhi to your brother during the festival." They hang up the phone. Rajni tries calling back several times, but they don't pick up. Meanwhile, Ajit had also left the house to visit his sister's village. Upon arriving at the bus stand, he sees his sister begging for food. Seeing her in such a state, he immediately embraces her and says, "Sister, why didn't you tell me about your condition?" His sister replies, "Brother, a person must bear the burden of their sorrows alone, and I didn't want you to be troubled because of me." Ajit and his sister, Rajwanti, go to her house, where Ajit sees the terrible situation. There's nothing to eat, and her husband is gravely ill. Ajit knew her husband was unwell, but didn't realize it was so bad that his sister had to beg. Ajit goes to the market, withdraws some money from the bank, and buys food and other essentials for his sister. When she sees the money, she says, "Brother, this wasn't necessary." Ajit replies, "Sister, this is my duty. You are our only sister. If you were my brother, he would have shared half of everything and lived with us. But since you are my sister, it's my responsibility to do this." He leaves the supplies at her house and continues his work there, using his salary to support her. He tells his sister, "You won't have to go outside anymore." Hearing this, she asks, "What about your wife? What will happen if you stay here?" Ajit replies, "What wife? Your sister-in-law died the day she turned you away at the door." Rajwanti, who loved her brother dearly, realizes that if things continue like this, his household will be ruined. The next day, when Ajit returns from work, she tells him, "Brother, this isn't the way to ruin your household. After all, she's your wife. If she made a mistake, forgive her." She then takes her brother back to their house. Meanwhile, at Ajit's house, Rajni had run out of groceries and was struggling for money. She was upset because her family wasn't speaking to her, and her husband had also left. She wandered around the house, regretting her actions. Just then, the doorbell rings again. Rajni opens the door to find her sister-in-law and husband standing there. Seeing her sister-in-law, she immediately falls at her feet, saying, "Sister, forgive me. I made a terrible mistake. It won't happen again." Her sister-in-law lifts her up, embraces her, and says, "It's okay, forget what happened. Now go and make peace with your husband." Rajni falls at Ajit's feet, begging for forgiveness, saying, "I made a terrible mistake. It won't happen again." Ajit forgives her, and they go inside. Rajni starts taking good care of her sister-in-law. Ajit also restores communication between Rajni and her brother. Rajni apologizes to her brother as well, saying, "Brother, I made a terrible mistake. You weren't answering my calls, but I wanted to apologize." Finally, everyone is happy again. The estranged family members reconcile and live together harmoniously. Ajit takes good care of his household, and Rajni's family also begins visiting and speaking with her regularly. When Rajwanti visits, Rajni takes good care of her, and Ajit continues to support his sister. Rajwanti's husband eventually recovers, and the entire family lives happily together. Friends, this was a story where a sister-in-law insulted her sister-in-law by calling her worthless and throwing her out of the house. But when her brother came, he taught her a lesson that made her realize her mistake. What do you think of this story? Please share your thoughts in the comment section. These stories are not meant to trouble anyone, but to impart valuable lessons that can help improve lives. So, friends, this was today's story, showing the depth of relationships and the true face of humanity. Do you also believe that every relationship has room for improvement? Share your thoughts in the comments. If this story touched you, don't forget to like, comment, and share the video, and subscribe to the channel, because your subscription motivates us to bring you even more thrilling stories.